Have you ever met someone and felt like something was just off, but you couldn't explain why? Like a shadow followed them, or your gut screamed, "Get out," while your mind told you to be polite. That's not paranoia. That's your survival instinct. And ignoring it could be the worst mistake of your life. Because not everyone you meet is safe. Some people wear masks. Others hide knives behind smiles. And some are simply toxic from the moment they enter your world. In this video, you'll discover the 7 most dangerous signs that someone is not who they seem, and why, when you notice them, you should leave immediately. No second chances, no explanations, just walk away before it costs you your peace or something far worse. So if you value your energy, your time, and your life, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Let's expose the truth that most people are too scared to admit. 1. They try to control the conversation. Immediately. From the very first moment you meet them, they try to seize the spotlight. The conversation isn't a shared exchange. It's a performance where they play the lead, and you're expected to be the silent audience. They cut you off mid-sentence, redirect the topic to themselves, and speak with a tone that demands attention, not respect. You might try to add your perspective, but they steamroll right over it, like your words never existed. At first, you might mistake it for confidence. Maybe they're just extroverted, right? But look closer. This isn't boldness. It's domination. It's a quiet power play, and you're the target. These kinds of people test your boundaries in the most subtle way, through words. They want to see if they can mentally outpace you, emotionally outmatch you, and verbally shut you down. And the terrifying truth? If you allow it once, they now know exactly how to control you. They're not just speaking, they're measuring you. Every interruption is a data point. Every time they talk over you, they're asking, "Can I make this person feel small? Will they surrender their voice to me?" And once they know you'll tolerate it, they'll keep pushing. First, it's the conversation. Then, it's your time. Then your opinions. And eventually, your self-worth. People like this don't care what you think. They care that you don't think you're allowed to speak. They'll wear you down till you begin to doubt your own ideas, until your silence becomes a habit, not a choice. So when you meet someone and they rush to control the flow of words, when they speak like they own the air in the room, recognize this for what it is. Not conversation, but conquest. Don't stay there trying to prove your worth. Don't try to match their energy or earn their respect. Walk away. Immediately. Because if they need to overpower your voice to feel powerful, they'll eventually try to overpower your life. 2. Something about them feels fake. But you can't prove it. You meet them, and everything seems fine on the surface. They smile when they're supposed to. They say all the right words. They show kindness, maybe even charm. But still, something feels off. You can't quite explain it, and that's what makes it so unsettling. It's not what they're doing. It's what you feel behind their actions. Like you're watching a well-rehearsed performance instead of a real person. A part of you whispers, "This isn't real." But because there's no obvious proof, you silence that voice, and that's where the danger begins. These kinds of people are masters of pretending. They wear masks, expertly crafted ones, not to protect themselves, but to deceive others. Their smile is calculated. Their politeness is mechanical. Their attention is artificial. They've learned how to mimic human warmth without feeling it. And they don't connect with you. They study you. Every gesture, every compliment, every word is part of a quiet manipulation. They want something: your trust, your vulnerability, your energy. But you won't see their true face, not until you're too close to escape. And here's the scariest part. Your logical mind won't catch it, because logic looks for facts. But what you're feeling is intuition, and intuition works faster than thought. It bypasses words. It taps into energy, body language, micro-expressions, things we pick up subconsciously. That eerie gut feeling that says, this person isn't who they say they are. That's not just fear, that's wisdom. Ancient primal survival wisdom that's kept humans alive for thousands of years. But most people ignore that feeling. Why? Because we're trained to be polite, to give the benefit of the doubt, to be nice. And predators rely on that. The most dangerous people are rarely loud or aggressive at first. No, the real threat comes disguised in smiles and sweet words. They blend in perfectly. Until one day, the mask slips, and you realize too late that everything they gave you was just bait. So when something feels fake, don't wait for proof. Trust the feeling. Protect your energy. If your gut says run, don't argue, run. Because by the time the truth reveals itself, the damage may already be done. 3. They make subtle jabs, disguised as jokes. It starts with a laugh, a casual smirk, a sarcastic comment that seems harmless on the surface. Maybe they call you too sensitive, or make a remark about your appearance, your voice, your dreams, but they quickly follow it up with, relax, I'm just joking. Everyone else might laugh. You might even force a chuckle yourself. But deep down, you feel it. That sting, that shift in your energy, that quiet voice in your head that whispers, that wasn't a joke, that was a hit. These aren't random moments, they're tests. And the people who do this know exactly what they're doing. Their words are weapons, disguised in humor so they can escape accountability. They want to see if you'll flinch, if you'll speak up, or worse, if you'll stay silent. Because the second you let it slide, they've won. Now they know how much disrespect you're willing to tolerate while still calling them a friend. They'll say it's your problem that you can't take a joke. But real jokes don't leave people feeling humiliated. Real humor doesn't target your insecurities or twist your vulnerabilities into punchlines. This isn't comedy, it's emotional warfare. A slow psychological bleed masked by fake laughter. And the moment you accept it, you open the door for more. Sharper jabs, deeper insults, masked as just kidding. And here's what's truly sinister. They use this strategy to control you. Because over time, you start doubting your own reactions. You become afraid to speak up. You question whether you're overreacting. And that self-doubt, that hesitation, is exactly what they want. They chip away at your confidence bit by bit until your silence becomes a habit, until your self-respect starts to shrink, until they've built power over you, one joke at a time. Let me be brutally clear. The first jab is not just a joke, it's a red flag, a warning shot. And if someone's version of humor always leaves you feeling smaller, belittled, or confused, you owe it to yourself to stop laughing and start walking. Because no one who truly respects you will hide their cruelty behind a smile. 4. They constantly talk badly about others behind their back. You're talking to someone, and before you've even built a connection, they're already tearing someone else down. They lean in, lower their voice, and whisper toxic little stories. Stories that weren't theirs to tell. They mock someone's decisions, expose their secrets, criticize their life, all while smiling in your face. And in that moment, you might feel flattered, like you've been chosen as their trusted confidant. But here's the brutal truth. You're not special. You're just next. Because if they can talk so freely about someone who isn't present, what do you think they'll say when you're not around? Gossip isn't just petty. It's a form of emotional betrayal. It's a clear signal that this person has no loyalty, no boundaries, and no respect for the privacy or dignity of others. It shows you exactly how they operate, by feeding on negativity, by bonding through destruction, and by turning people's weaknesses into entertainment. And don't be fooled by how casually they do it. These people are skilled. They know how to dress up gossip as concern, how to mask cruelty as honesty. But the pattern is always the same. Someone has to be the villain in their story, and they'll keep rotating names until they get to yours. The worst part? These kinds of individuals often disguise their toxicity as trust. They'll make you feel like you're on the inside, like you're part of some exclusive circle. But that circle is built on broken trust, shattered reputations, and stolen peace. You're not building connection. You're standing on a battlefield paved with someone else's pain. And remember, a person who bonds with you by destroying others will destroy you to bond with someone else. It's only a matter of time. So when you meet someone who constantly talks badly about others, don't just listen to their words. Read the warning in their behavior. That's not insight. That's a threat. Get up. Walk away. Because if they eat off of someone else's name today, yours will be on the menu tomorrow. 5. You feel emotionally drained after talking to them. There are people you talk to who leave you feeling energized, uplifted, and seen. And then, there are the others. The ones who leave you feeling like your soul's been ripped out through a polite conversation. You were fine before. Your mood was stable, your thoughts were clear, your spirit was calm. But after they leave, you're anxious, you're irritated, you feel heavy, like you've been emotionally robbed. And here's the truth most people ignore. That's not a coincidence. That's energy theft. Toxic people have an invisible hunger. They feed off attention, chaos, drama, and control. And when they don't have it, they take it from others. They do it through subtle negativity, constant complaining, backhanded compliments, guilt tripping, or even trauma dumping. It's not always loud, but it's always strategic. They pull you into their emotional vortex, and by the time the conversation is over, they walk away lighter. And you walk away carrying what they didn't want to hold. This is psychological vampirism. They drain your peace to fuel their own survival. And the worst part? They often leave with a smile, because to them, it wasn't a conversation. It was a transaction. You gave your time, your energy, your emotional bandwidth, and they took it all without asking. No apology, no awareness, just consumption. You might try to brush it off. You might tell yourself, maybe I'm just tired. But that exhaustion isn't physical, it's spiritual. Your intuition knows when something's wrong. And when someone keeps leaving you mentally and emotionally worse than they found you, that is the body's way of screaming, this person is not safe for your soul. So stop analyzing their words. Stop making excuses for their pain. Pay attention to how you feel after they're gone. That's where the truth lives. That's where your boundaries are tested. Because anyone who consistently leaves you drained isn't a friend, a partner, or even a decent human being. They're a thief. And your peace is the price they're trying to steal. 6. They overshare or ask deep personal questions. Too quickly. You just met them, maybe minutes or hours ago, and suddenly they're diving deep. They're telling you about their childhood trauma, their toxic ex, their darkest secrets, or asking you questions you'd expect in a therapy session, not a first conversation. And for a moment, it feels powerful, raw. Like maybe you found someone who's real, someone who's not afraid to go deep. But here's the harsh truth. That's not vulnerability. That's a trap. This tactic is called rapid intimacy, and manipulators use it to create a false sense of closeness fast. They skip the natural process of building trust, respect, and emotional safety. They don't want connection. They want control. Because the faster you feel close to them, the easier it is for them to bypass your boundaries. You start opening up too. You start trusting. You start lowering your guard. And that's exactly what they want. Your defenses down, so their red flags slip past unnoticed. Oversharing too quickly is not a sign of emotional depth. It's often a calculated strategy. It disarms you. It confuses you. It makes you feel special, chosen, trusted. But in reality, they're using intensity to artificially create something that normally takes time. And that should terrify you. Because real connection, real emotional safety, doesn't rush. It builds gradually, layer by layer. Healthy people don't hand you their life story before they know your last name. And they don't pry into your soul when they haven't earned your trust. But manipulators, they want to drown you in vulnerability from the beginning so you mistake chaos for connection. And here's what's even more disturbing. Once they have what they want, your secrets, your sympathy, your attachment, they often disappear, shift, or use your own words against you later. Because it was never about sharing. It was about hooking you in. So when someone goes too deep too fast, pause. Listen to that internal alarm. The one that says, "This feels off." Because sometimes what looks like honesty is actually a lure. And what feels like connection is just another carefully built cage. 7. Your body tenses up around them. Sometimes the most powerful warning signs don't come from words. They come from within. You're in the presence of someone who seems perfectly nice on the surface. They're smiling, saying all the right things, maybe even being charming. But something inside you isn't buying it. Your chest feels heavy. Your stomach tightens. Your jaw locks. Your skin prickles. Your heart speeds up, and not in a good way. That's not anxiety. That's not imagination. That's survival. Your body is ancient, and it has wisdom far older than your conscious thoughts. Long before your brain can logically explain why someone feels off, your nervous system has already made the call. It's scanning for danger, measuring energy, picking up microsignals, tone, eye contact, posture, things you don't even consciously notice. And when it senses threat, it doesn't ask for permission, it reacts. This is primal instinct, your built-in alarm system. And the worst mistake you can make is ignoring it. Because while your brain might be busy making excuses, they're just intense. I'm probably overthinking it. They haven't done anything wrong. Your body is telling the truth. And that truth is, you are not safe. There are people who know how to manipulate words, how to present themselves like saints, how to imitate empathy and mirror your emotions. But your nervous system can't be fooled. It knows when energy is off. It knows when something is lurking behind the smile. It knows when the room is full of tension, even if the air feels calm. And when that knowing shows up, in a racing heart, in tight shoulders, in sudden fatigue, listen. Don't rationalize. Don't stay out of politeness. Don't silence your instincts just to avoid being rude. Because the body doesn't lie. And when it tells you to leave, it's not being dramatic. It's trying to save your life. So if you ever find yourself in a conversation where everything seems fine, but your body is screaming otherwise, get up. Don't hesitate. Don't explain. Just leave. Because that reaction isn't weakness, it's ancient wisdom. It's protection. And sometimes the most powerful form of intelligence is simply the urge to walk away. As we conclude, the most dangerous people are not always violent or loud. They're often subtle, strategic, and skilled at deception. But your intuition, your energy, and your body, they never lie. The moment you notice even one of these signs, don't argue, don't explain, just leave. Because your peace, your soul, and your future are worth protecting. If this video hit something deep inside you, smash that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And remember, some goodbyes are life-saving.